But I think a lot of people don't understand what the benefit of being flexible is, right? Outside of like, I'm a gymnast and I want to do a split. Like, flexibility benefits every single human on earth. So if you're like a football player, you're a 70-year-old man, your modality does not matter. What matters is the fact that flexibility promotes injury prevention. And that's true across the board for every muscle group.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Rachel. What was I supposed to welcome us back, or
No,
was
I
I
was
doing
just waiting in silence. It's a hard thing for me.
it? Well, it's fine. It was fine for me. I like appreciated the I could have stayed there longer.
Oh, we want to give you guys the full gambit of our introduction, so we wanted to skip the lag. But if we wait in silence, whew, I could leave the room.
It's good for me. I'll fall right asleep.
That makes one of us. I forget what we're doing. Oh, we're recording a podcast. Welcome back, everyone. We're so happy to have you back on our 900th episode. I don't know. We've been doing these for a while.
1 bazillion episode. Yeah, but how excited are you? So it's Friday, guys, for us, and we're going on an outing.
We're going on an adventure.
It's going well. It's you have to call it an adventure when you bring mom because that's
Yeah, a vibe.
if it was me and you, it'd be an outing, and if we're bringing mom, so it's an adventure. We're three girls going to a concert tonight. We're so excited. We're bringing mom to Imagine Dragons, which was so your idea. It was the best gift ever, and I'm super excited. Because like great band, great times, bring in our mom.
I love it. Honestly, I think that so the more that I've been thinking about just gifts there's so many holidays, there's so many gifts, and like there's always great like personalized things you can give to people. It's awesome. But I really do love experiences like that you can do with your people because
Totally.
it just feels so much like you're maximizing your time together because you're not just giving like the gift of the thing of whatever you're doing, but your time to spend together. It's like a dedicated time to do the
You
thing.
crushed it. You crushed it. I'm super excited. My son's super jealous.
Is he?
He's like a big fan. Like
Yes. Yeah. Well, he's been
he like
listening to
knows
them.
all of their hits.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Do kids get to go to concerts?" I was like, "No, it's illegal. It's actually illegal. You have to be 21 to go to a concert. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." He's like, "I can't wait to be 21." I was like, "Yeah, yeah. Mhm."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let that ride for as far as it can so that
So
we
you
can
don't have to
continue.
bring him.
Yeah.
Well, they have some really I think not that you wanna bring him, I know you wanna just but they have, like I don't think they're labeled as kids only area, but it has something to do with that where they have the areas blocked off. You're not allowed to drink in that area, like, on the
Yeah, I'm not
lawn.
going there in that area then. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I said it's an adventure. We're having an adventure. Okay. It
True,
doesn't
true.
involve him. But I don't really know what to wear. I didn't know this that there was like such a concert like fashion scene. Like every like section of a store like there's like boutiques that have just like a concert section. And now I'm feeling pressure, but I'm
Don't
just
feel
gonna,
pressure.
I'm
It's
I'm fine. I'm 39. I'm just happy to be here. And
don't don't feel the pressure, honestly.
I'm not going to.
Every time like, I do love your drink that you got going on there, though. I
Oh,
initially
can I
felt
tell you a story about this? Can I
Yeah,
tell you a story about this
tell me
drink?
about it.
Okay. Oh my God, it's really embarrassing. I don't even know why. Why did I just say that? All right, I have now have to tell everybody. All right, friends. This is a really embarrassing story. And it starts with the fact that I am just such a weirdo. Okay, so a package comes in the mail. I don't know how you guys do it, but when packages come in the mail, I just start ripping open. Packages show up pretty much daily at my house, and I'm just ripping. And it was like, oh, that is protein coffee. protein coffee, those are two things I like. Let's do it. I didn't order this, but Mark must have ordered it, and so I break into it because we have no. We listen. We've been married a long time. I break into it first. I'm like, I make the protein coffee. I drink it. It's okay. I don't like Splenda, so it's like it's a vibe. So he comes out and he's like, "What are you drinking?" I was like, "Oh, this is your protein coffee that you ordered. I figured I'd try it out." And he goes, "I didn't order protein coffee."
Yep.
And I was like, "You didn't order protein coffee?" "I didn't order protein coffee. What am I drinking?" And then I looked at the label and it was like one of my neighbor's mail.
Oh, oopsies.
Oopsie. So do I? But I've opened it now.
Yeah.
So here's an am I the asshole moment. Am I the asshole? WWYD. What would you do? Because I know what Jesus would have done. He would have brought that shit right back. And I am very far from that. What would you do? I don't know what to do. I'm sitting here going like, "Ugh, okay, if I bring it back, it's opened. And then what do I say?" And it's not like a close neighbor. Like I don't know them. You know what I mean? It's not like my next door neighbor. Like it was like way down the street, like not even on my street. It was like way down. And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go up to the door with this like opened protein." So I was like, you know what? It's staying. It's staying with me. And now I'm shamelessly drinking it. Hopefully they're not a listener.
You're just drinking it. You
I'm
haven't you haven't made any action to get it back to them.
no, 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 I'm gonna finish the bag. Am I the asshole?
New customer brought to you by UPS.
It's me. The problem. It's me. Listen, I know who I am, and that's what I've done, guys. That's what I've done. I've stolen. I basically stole it, and now I'm like shamelessly drinking it. And I don't know who else to be.
Well, I love that for you.
Can I just ask a quick question while I'm plugging my shamelessness? If anyone has a good protein coffee without Splenda, I would love for you to send it my way because I'm gonna finish this one. I'm gonna finish it, but I don't love it. So but I like the idea of protein coffee. So if you've got one without like a artificial sweetener or like some, I just prefer like the good old fashioned
Your
Canadian
free
sugar.
coffee just it's
And if you just want to ship it to my house under your name and address, I'll just probably open it and drink it. So
Oh my god. I have done that where I've opened my neighbor's shit before because I'm not looking at the name, but then it's
no.
usually something that I'm like, this don't fit.
What size did I order? Was I drunk or
I
something?
have done that, and one of them was like, one of them was some kind of a like hair supplement. I think I may have shared that with you that like the previous owner to my house, she just kept having them shipped there. And then I did tell her because I don't know, I didn't know like how I was like, I did open this accidentally, but
Would you recommend it?
I was like,
Should I be No, but this is how I find my new products now. It's just like it shows up, I try it, and then I'm like, "Yes, would recommend." New hair supplement.
well, honestly, protein coffee sounds delicious, and I'm also
Right?
interested if anyone has any really good ones. I also don't like Splenda. I don't like the taste of it. I don't like the whole idea behind it. So I don't want any of that, but I would love some nice protein coffee.
Right? I just feel like it's a really good idea. Like, the
Yeah.
market is there. 2 shots of espresso, 20 grams of protein.
Ooh.
Like,
That
come
you
on.
need that too because you don't get a ton of protein in your
This
diet.
is why when like a protein shows at my door, I'm like, "Oh," like it's a sign. I do not ever get enough protein, and so I'm sorry, neighbor, but I needed it more than you.
Poor neighbor.
I'm horrible.
We do have a great topic. We have an episode, we have a topic, but we have a really cool topic for you guys this week when we're going to talk about some stretches. And this should be just something that is constantly on your radar until the end of time. Is that too much?
The end. Is that too much?
Is that too much? It
Have I
really
gone overboard?
it
You should
should
be
be.
doing this from today until the day you die. Is that all? That's all? That's the assignment.
That's the assignment, and, honestly, it just is so imperative for your health, and it's such an I'm gonna air bunny easy thing to add in that a lot of us miss on a daily basis, and when you do it, you're like, "I know that I should do this more. I feel so good. This is so good for me." But we tend to still not do it. Important
It's
part
one
of
of
that one
those.
of those important part of that is, like, putting it in a routine is you're, like, so much more likely because it just pops into your head. I know that while I was thinking about this topic, I was thinking that so my partner stretches every day. He does it in the shower. So, like, it's one of those things where, like, he if he does it, like, he's always doing it in the shower. Like
What a life hack, because we're gonna talk about, the fact that it's not super beneficial for you to just stretch cold. So like you should have like some, warmth in your muscles before you like set out on a stretch routine. But like he hacked it
yeah.
by like standing in warm water.
Mhm.
Oh, what a good
It's true, and
idea.
then we'll continue it into, like, he showers at night, and then we'll continue into the bed into when he comes into bed, so he'll do, like, all of
I'm
his, like,
stealing that.
standing, like, static stretches in there, and then
I'm
when he's,
stealing it.
like, laying in bed, he has the band, which is literally, like, in our bed or right next to it, which people might find weird, but it's the band you put around your knees to do, like, a couple exercises that relieve lower back pain. But you're already warm, you're already stretched. It's a good
Wow.
time to do it.
I'm telling you right now, I'm stealing that just like I stole the protein coffee. I'm taking that right to the bank
You little
because I
raccoon.
shower every night too. And it's like, why am I not? Plus, what we're going to get into too, I'm just tons of spoiler alerts here. Stretching before bed has been shown to have massive benefits on your sleep pattern.
Yeah.
So, damn, that's good.
Yeah, that's good. I do like it how you can kind of just, like, pick apart some things that other people are doing and be like, "Huh, I want that in my life. I'm gonna pull
I'm
that."
gonna t I'm gonna take that. Yeah, so thank you to the neighbor and thank you to Matt. I mean, he's a professional athlete, guys, so like we're not joking around here about, the stretching. It's very important. But what we're gonna give you today, what you're gonna leave with is a 10-minute stretch session that you can do on the daily. It is total body and it's made up of our favorite stretches that we feel every human on earth should be doing on a daily basis. And if that's not enough, we're also, oh my God, chill. We're
Chill. That
also
glass is
going,
so serious.
do
I
you
would be
love
if I
it?
love it so much, but, like, I don't know if I should bring it into my life.
So
Like,
here's what I
I
have to
want
say.
it.
Here's what I have to say. I don't get many like pretty things that aren't kid proof because we all live here, and I have a little spawn running around who's also a spiller.
Chronic spiller.
And I have like mini Kelsey in boy form. Now I wouldn't recommend this for you, like if you like, you need caps, right? But like tops. But as far as breakability, 100% yes. It's
Yeah.
super thick.
It looks really thick. I was just picturing how much that would shatter if it did
No,
fall.
no, no. He's dropped these and it's no problem. They're
Oh.
super thick. I'm not gonna say they're shatterproof, but like they're way thicker than a normal glass. It like thick as my thighs, man. And I'm telling you, I like a thick glass because it holds in the cold better.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Alright, I'm gonna get
um,
those.
all right, I'll send them to you. All right, so come stretch with us for 10 minutes. But before we start, I did just want to talk about the controversy surrounding stretching. I mean, fitness will literally make a
Any
controversy. It's because, like,
anything
it's so
controversial.
ridiculous. It's like spinach, the new enemy. Like, it's just anything goes when
You
it
don't
comes
need
to
kale,
controversy.
you need all the kale. Like,
God.
it's so
But in the
extreme.
past it's so extreme, but in the past few years, static stretches have started to get a bad name because people have kind of come around to the fact that pre-exercise dynamic stretches are the way to go. And this started with some studies that showed that static stretching before exercise decreased muscle power output, kind of like made you weaker before you went to start your routine or your sport. And so it kind of got like tossed out like the trash. And we were like, we're not getting weaker before our session, we're getting stronger. So we're going to replace it with dynamic. Now, I can't say enough about, and this has trickled all the way down, like kids sports are now in my son's 7-year-old baseball team is warming up dynamically. So this is well accepted. But while I can't say enough about the benefits of dynamic stretches, that does not mean we're throwing static stretches out, because that's what we're always doing in fitness. It's like spinach is out, kale's in. No, like they both have their place. And I feel like because static stretches have gotten the boot in many instances, pre exercise, that now a lot of people do not have them in their day at all. And that is definitely a problem for me.
See, that's the thing that we hit every time we find something new in fitness where we're like, "Oh, we're just gonna throw out this old thing that probably has no validity here." Where static stretches do have a space and do have like a valid spot in increasing your flexibility, mobility. We'll talk about all of the benefits, including digestion. Um,
Ooh.
which is a really big one. But I I just think like sometimes when we do this where we're going to say like dynamic stretches are more beneficial to you prior to movement doesn't mean that static stretches are now all out and that you shouldn't be holding any type of stretches for an increased amount of time and it would be beneficial for you. A lot of times post workout when you've been moving and your mobility or your flexibility is kind of peaking ish for the day is a great time to throw in some of those static stretches. You can get a deeper stretch in and then it will just kind of like, oh, I think what my massage therapist always used to say was like, let it marinate. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like let it just like sit in there. And that's kind of the one of the benefits for static stretches that can be beneficial to you post workout. Now, we're going to talk about different ways that you can use static stretches, but I want you to know that we're going to give you 10 minutes worth of stretches that you can do at any point during your day. We'll talk about the most beneficial times to be able to use some of those stretches, the benefits of them, but we are also going to just say stretching is one of the most important things for longevity in health for the rest of your life. So, however, you can mix it in, I have found myself sometimes, like during bath time, not I'm not in the bath. The little one is in the bath. That's when I'm like doing a couple stretches because I'm just sitting there anyway, and I'm just like, okay, like I'm feeling some lower back pain. If I can just get like a 2x10 in here, like it will be a good time. So I just want you guys to use some flexibility around some of the things that we're saying
But
but
ching.
and realize that you do have 10 minutes in your day. It's going to significantly improve your health. And however you can put it in, whether it's in the shower, whether it's during one of your kids' bath time, whether it's during some of your TV time, I really implore you to be able to pick a spot consistently that you're going to put it in for this week and hopefully for the rest of your life. But let's just start with this week.
Slide that in there. Slide it in. Just this week, the rest of your life. Just real sly there.
I want you to try this for a week. I want you to notice how your body is feeling and realize that you really do have this time to fit it in.
And then
So
you come thank me.
and then you come back and you leave us a message on
Yes.
our thing and say, "Man, that was so beneficial because you guys really narrowed down the stretches that I can do. It's so much better to go in with a plan.
Mhm.
We're gonna give you a certain number of reps that just like keep it under 10 minutes that you will be able to implement." So let's just talk about some of the benefits of static stretches.
Before we get started
Go
on
ahead.
that, can I just want to do a case. It just dawned on me that there might be some people out there that do not know the difference between dynamic and static. So I just want to highlight that for a second. Static stretches are when you are stretching a muscle to its like sort of near max in an isolated way, and also in a like long, with a long length of time, a longer length of time. Whereas opposed to dynamic stretches are going to be you running through a full range of motion with a muscle or a muscle group in a shortened kind of fashion. So, where you might hold a static stretch on your hamstring for like 30 to 60 seconds, a dynamic stretch would have you doing butt kickers for 20 seconds, right? That you still see that you're warming up and engaging that same hamstring muscle. It's just in two different kind of ways. And also, I just want to point out because I noted that study. That study that was done on static stretching and showing a decrease in power output, it was not a lasting decrease. I just want to be very clear about that. When we're talking about static stretching pre-workout, they showed like I want to say it was 1 to 3 minutes where the muscle power output was decreased, but then it went back to normal. So it's not like by doing any static stretches you have any prolonged decrease in muscle power or endurance. Not the case at all. So like if you do have a few static stretches before your workouts, that's totally fine. You're not going to see a massive like decrease in performance.
Mhm. And you can take some of those static stretches that you do and just add a little bit more of a dynamic movement to them. So, like some of the things that I think about when it comes to like stretching your hamstrings, like, yeah, that long hold isn't exactly what we're looking for prior to movement. But if you can move through, um, thinking about like, uh, a hip stretch moving into the static stretch for your hamstrings. So you're moving back and forth. So you're still getting that movement where you're stretching out your hamstrings, but you're not just holding them. So you got like 1 or 2 seconds here, 1 or 2 seconds here. You're moving back and forth through them. And that can give you like kind of a happy medium that you need.
So, benefits of static stretching, I mean, the list is extremely long, but we're just going to go through a couple. Obviously, this is, the best benefit, I think, is the increased flexibility. But I think a lot of people don't understand what the benefit of being flexible is, right? Outside of like, I'm a gymnast and I want to do a split. Like flexibility benefits every single human on earth. So if you're like a football player, if it doesn't your modality of you're a 70-year-old man, your modality does not matter. What matters is the fact that flexibility promotes injury prevention. And that's true across the board for every muscle group. When you have excessively shortened or excessively lengthened muscle groups that are working in conjunction with each other, what you're going to get from that is imbalances. So we see this a lot with, like, let's go back to a football player, for example. We see a lot of overdevelopment in the pecs and chest area, and then underdevelopment in the lats and back area. Now, what this is going to lead to is a football player who can't extend his hands over his head in the bottom of a squat, or at all, really. Um, what you're going to see from that: poor posture, the way that you move in your sport is going to be compromised. And that is what we're talking about when it comes to injury prevention, because we need the muscle groups to be working together in a balanced way. And that requires both of them to be equally flexible and equally developed when it comes to strength. So, I think that people kind of like go like, flexibility, yeah, that's cool, but like I don't really need that in my sport or in my life or in my modality. Yes, you absolutely do if you want to keep moving well and safe.
100%. Plus, like when it comes to a stiff body in any way in a range of motion, you are looking. That's how injuries happen. When you're not moving properly, that's how injuries happen. And since you brought up like a 70-year-old man and football player, there's two indicators for health as people look into the later years of their life. For men, the decrease in mobility is their number one indicator of like a shortened lifespan. It's like their
Wow.
decrease in mobility. That's where their almost like Achilles heel is. women happens to be the decrease in muscle. So when you look like what can be the two focuses for men and women as we look at later years of our life, what can give us the most benefit to being able to live a long, happy, um, pain free and independent life. Women maintain muscle. Men maintain mobility. Those are your things right there. If you want to just like simplify it to the most that you possibly can, those are the indicators. So I just want to think about like when you're talking about someone who has a decrease in mobility in any way, that is going to lead to pain. If you don't have mobility, you are increasing your chances of moving with pain. So those things like you have immobile hips, it hurts when you stand up all the time. You can't drop into a squat comfortably. That's because your flexibility or your mobility is so low that that range of motion is painful for you. Now, a lot of people just kind of chalk that off to like, my body can't move like that anymore. It, let's think about that. Let's think about that. If you are okay with just saying, well, my body can't move like that anymore, we're just going to decrease your mobility for the rest of your life, little by little, until you're completely immobile, because that's actually what we're moving towards each time. So when we're talking about a decrease in injury, and we're talking about the way to do that is to increase your flexibility. This is a really important part of that. Reducing inflammation is, we've talked about inflammation a lot recently, and I do think it really has its place because our society is chronically living in a state of inflammation. And poor posture and repetitive movements decrease or antagonize the body's range of motion, are treated by the body as an injury. So, as a result, the body will try to heal that injury, causing inflammation. Now, that's complicated, right? Your body is doing its very best. Inflammation gets a bad rap because we know that like when you get inflammation, you get a decrease in mobility. You're like, oh, my knee is so swollen, blah, blah, blah. But it is your body's attempt to protect itself. It's sending extra blood supply there. It's sending protection essentially to that area in order for you to heal. But in a lot of ways, when we start to look at the current society that we're in and the amount of inflammation in our bodies and how we're really not moving through that inflammation, it becomes a problem. So how can we reduce some of that inflammation? Stretching.
I mean, it's so hot, inflammation right now. It's so hot, but it's almost like we're not looking at the most obvious way to reduce it. Obvious and easiest,
Yeah.
I would argue. So, when it comes to if you've ever, this was really interesting to me when I was researching this. If you have ever felt like a knot in a muscle where you're physically touching the muscle and you can feel like a hump where like you're getting a ton of tension, that is your body's way of trying to protect said muscle. It increases, let's say, like, I'm just going to go off mine because I'm just the trap queen.
Trap queen.
um what the trap queen often sees is an increase in tension in the traps as an increase in inflammation as a way to protect said muscle because it is not moving in conjunction properly with the other muscles. That's because I overuse them. So what ends up happening is the muscle starts adhesing to itself because it's being tensed up for your protection so that you won't like further injure it by bringing it through an extended range of motion. And then because it's so tense, it adheses to itself. And that's why you get a knot in your muscle that you have to like actually physically press through to flatten and lengthen again, because it's almost like your muscle's like literally stuck to itself. And, you know, that can become so chronic that you're living with that chronic inflammation, constant knots in your muscles. And it's just that all can be addressed through stretching. So, especially if you have like an area of your body that is a little bitch, I know that my go-to stretches, at least one of them needs to be a trap stretch because that is gonna be my Achilles heel. Um, Also, we referenced that study about improving strength in your muscles, through stretching. We talked about what it does in the short term, but in the long term, it actually has been shown in all studies to increase muscle power output. So we talked about for women, you know, making sure over the later years that you're increasing and holding on to your muscle mass. it, you may not think so, but stretching is actually a very good way to increase muscle power output and hold on to that muscle mass. So you don't have to just be doing resistance training to hold on to muscle mass. Stretching is a really important part of that. And especially sedentary groups in these studies, sedentary groups showed the biggest benefits from stretching with regards to their muscle power output. So, like, listen, if you're not, even if you're in a time where you're not able to do anything else, like you're having an injury, or you are just like, you know what, I'm just not getting to the gym in this season of my life right now, stretching is going to help you to hold on to the muscle that you have and the muscle that you've built. And you worked hard for it. Might as well keep it.
Might as well keep it. Might as well be able to utilize it in the best ways possible, and move better. Even if you are in a even if you are in a season of your life where you're making it into the gym, you want to move better without pain. So freedom of movement is our next one as far as benefits go. We want to be able to move in any way that we can, and being limited sucks. So I think that one just speaks for itself. But honestly, it's kind of like taboo when you say it, like, you're like, "Oh, yeah, freedom of movement," but, like, freedom of movement,
Freedom, people.
like, when it got for me, like, when that really, like, hits, I'm talking about, like, being able to get up from a seated position on the floor with your kids. I'm talking about, like, simple things that you want to be able to do for the rest of your life, and these are the foundation to be able to do those things. Live your best life with your best people. Um Relaxation and mental well-being. Stretching has been shown to increase sleep quality as well as reducing cortisol levels and perceived feelings of stress. Now, I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face, because like the idea that our mental health and our physical health are completely separate are just never going to be a thing. And if you are taking the time to actively care for your body with stretching, you're making this intentional movement from your brain and your body to care for my body. I'm sitting down, I'm using these static stretches, I'm taking the time to move through them, I'm making that brain body connection. You are reducing the feelings of stress, but not only your the stress that you're actually experiencing, but your perceived feelings of stress. So all of that is working together and helping you. So it's a really important piece of just your mental health and your mental well-being. I didn't want to skip the fact that um, digestion is significantly improved when you're stretching. This is so important because everyone is putting such a focus on every single thing that you put into your mouth. And we're really missing the part of what we are actually absorbing, how we are digesting some of these things, and how we can maximize that. So there'll be so many hacks and so much focus on, what I can eat during the day, how can I improve my digestion, when really we can think about just putting in some of these things that are already going to be working together that improves your digestion, but also helping the rest of your body. It's like it's hitting all the markers, so it's just like, why not?
It's such a bang for your buck. I freaking love that, man.
Hmm.
Anything that's like multiple benefits at once. Let me do that. Multitasking. Let me do that. All right. So let's stretch, friends. Now, a cool thing is that we now have a video stream on Spotify. We also have, obviously, if you want to watch us on YouTube, but some of these stretches are going to be helpful to see, so we're going to describe them, but also simultaneously, along with us talking about them, we're also going to have images of how to do these. So if you've never heard of some of these stretches, turn on your video feed right now and we'll lead you through them. We're going to have 10 minutes of stretching. first and foremost, please do not stretch completely cold. It's okay if you start out slow, but I would prefer like a little walk first, a couple jumping jacks. Just if you're just like, if you've been sitting on the couch all day or if you've been sitting all day, just get your body moving a little bit before you go into your stretches. It's not that you'll hurt yourself if you don't, it's just that your stretching will be more beneficial if you have muscles that have been awakened and have not been sat on all day. Gotta interrupt the pod to tell you guys that we brought back your favorite. You screamed, we heard, they sold out way too quickly. So we brought them back for you, but this time in multiple colors. So we have the re release of our ribbed legging. Super comfortable, unbelievably supportive. They don't budge. You're going to love them. This Friday, September 20th, we've got black, everyone's fave, navy, and hunter green. So make sure you get these on your body. They are probably not going to come off all fall. So go to constantlyvariegear.com and get yours. So, all right, start your clock, friends. We're off 10 minutes. Are you ready? Kelsey, up first is your fave.
Are you ready? I have thread the needle as one of our first stretches. So you're going to do this 2 sets of 10 each side, and you're holding for a few seconds in each position. So this will look like you're in a tabletop position. Maybe your weight is on your right side and your left arm is threading underneath you towards the other side and then pulling up overhead, and you're moving through each of those. You're going to stay in the bottom position and the top position for a couple seconds each, but this you're moving through for 2 sets of 10. This is really great for your upper back and take the load off of your lower back. This is specifically a thoracic spine mobility, which I know the thoracic spine just gets. It's been a buzzword, but if you are a human living on this planet, you know that we often have a ton of lower back pain and limited range of motion in our upper back, which is our thoracic. So thoracic mobility is extremely limited in a society where we're doing everything right in front of us. So just putting these in, and I only put 2 sets of 10 in there for you guys, holding. If you're feeling really good in any one of those positions and you want to hold a couple more seconds, feel free to just sit there for a couple seconds.
All right, so we've got thread the needle. We are hitting your upper back and your thoracic, which if you have been sitting on a device all day or in your like stupid shrimpy position on your phone, that is going to totally combat that. Next up, we have frog. Frog is going to be you laying on your stomach with your thighs turned out. And you kind of look like a swimming frog in this position. This is so, this one. I love this stretch.
I literally love this stretch, but I know why people feel some type of adversity trying to get into them, because like getting anywhere on your knees can also be difficult. If you want to put any type of like pillows or soft things underneath your knees, I totally encourage you to do that. It's so beneficial, but you need to sit in this one for a bit of time. I recommend you sit in it for 2 minutes. That's a long time for a stretch, but as you're getting into it, don't force it. This is definitely not one that you're going to force. You can sit on your knees and kind of like rock back and forth with your hips to loosen up the target muscles and kind of like work your way like deeper into that stretch, but there's literally no reason to rush into any static stretches. This isn't, I was saying this to myself yesterday, so I'm just going to repeat it to you guys. Stretching and like breathing things, there's no winning and losing. Like, this is really hard for me. I was telling Rachel, I was like, I'm not good at this, but I'm practicing and I'm doing it. I'm trying to get better at it. And I feel like stretching is one of those things for sure. putting in some breathing while you're in the frog is so in frog stretch is so important because like as you're kind of working your way into it, you want to make sure that your breath is aligned with the movement, that you're kind of taking a deep breath in, you're pushing your air out like from your belly, pushing it out so that you can get a little bit deeper into that stretch and help your muscles relax. So, I mean, you could talk about some target areas too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about holding a stretch for 2 minutes is that we are not expecting you to be in your deepest point of the stretch in the first 30 seconds, right? The point of the longer hold is so that you can work your way into it. And I also really encourage people, even though you're in a static stretch, there should be you that rocking motion that Kelsey mentioned in frog. It works in a lot of static stretches where you're just sort of like feeling your way into the deepest part of the movement. And again, you're not rushing. We're hitting your hips, your core, and your groin in this one. All right, so we've hit your upper back and your thoracic. We're, I we need more openers in our society. We need more hip openers. Okay. We got to get your groin open because all it does is just, especially women, we're sitting with our legs crossed all day. And all we do, okay, I'm going to cross them now. We need to be able to shift and get those hips open so that your groin is not in a place where it's over tightened. Next, we're going to go into pigeon. Okay. Moving into pigeon now, guys, we are going to hold
Wait,
this
before we
one.
move on from frog, I just want to mention that if you this is designed to reduce some strain on your knees long term. So if you're
Mhm.
someone who gets into this is like a major focus on the adductors. So if you're someone who gets into this stretch and you are feeling like, well, I'm feeling some pull on my knees, that's because you have an increase in tightness there and we're working to reduce that strain. So putting something under your knees, even to just elevate them a little bit, will really help to just alleviate that just as you start to get your hips open a little bit more as you start to put these stretches into your daily practice.
Yeah, all of these stretches are going to have scaling and modification options so that, like, if you can't get into the deepest version of this stretch right now, do not worry about it. That does not negate any of the benefits
You're
of
not
it.
losing.
And there's
You're
no
only
losing.
winning. You're only
There's
on the
no
winning
losing in
side.
stretches. All right, let's get into pigeon because I literally need to spend my whole entire life in pigeon, which is really, it's like for me, it's a real crying pose because, like, oh my God, I don't know. This just must be me in my butt tightness. But um, when we get into pigeon, we're going to hold for a minute on each side. Now, this is another one of those longer holds where you're going to be like, holy shit, this is like bringing tears to my eyes. But like, you guys, again, we're not starting in the deepest point of that stretch. You're starting in kind of a scaled version, and then you're spending the minute sinking deeper and deeper as your muscles release and as your breath allows you to sink deeper. So, pigeon is going to be, oh my God, you're going to have you're going to start with one leg sort of bent. And I don't want people to overdo this because this is a really easy one to overdo. So I'm going to show some standing and box versions too, for if you're not ready to be sort of in the laying version of it. But you're going to have your one leg bent up and you're going to slowly kind of sink down. This is one you're going to feel in your butt. I feel it a ton in my hamstrings too, which is just a problem of tightness in my personal hamstrings. You're also going to feel it in your hip abductors. All of these groups are really, really important in making sure that the low back is not experiencing an overload in pain and imbalance because the hips are taking so much of the load. We need to make sure that the groin area and that the all the glutes, maximus minimus, are staying loose and agile.
You know what? I know we tried to put like a full range of stretches in here to kind of cover you from head to toe in the kind of areas that need a lot of attention, but you'll notice a common theme of like relieving stress in the lower back is playing a significant part here, because your lower back is taking on a lot. And something that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to stretching is you're also always developing your core during these stretches. When we're alleviating that lower back pain, we're elongating the core muscles, because we can't expect to have all that compression on your lower back and have a strong healthy core. It can only take so much, guys. We have to, in order to develop a strong healthy core, we have to be able to alleviate some of that pressure on the lower back. And I know a lot of you guys are saying like, you sold, you don't need to talk me into alleviating pressure on my lower back. But if you needed one more reason, here it is. God.
Speaking of alleviating pressure on the spine, next up we have box shoulder stretch, which we have talked about this one before when we were doing an episode on spinal compression and how important it is every single day to elongate your spine to allow blood to flow into the discs and have all the healing qualities that we need, and how completely dangerous it is to have your spine compressed all day without doing a reversal of that. Box shoulder stretch is an excellent way to relieve pressure from your spine, to allow the discs to elongate and allow the blood flow to get in there. We're going to hold this one for 60 seconds. This is going to be we're going to do 2 holds of 60 seconds. I want you to hold, take a break, and then hold again for 60 seconds. This is going to be arms straight out overhead, and you're going to use some sort of apparatus to sink your head, neck, and shoulders through the middle of your hands. So you can use a tabletop, you can use a counter, you can use a wall. There's a ton of ways to do this. No equipment needed for any of these stretches, obviously. But this is a great one for people who are experiencing any type of compression in their back, which is everyone because gravity.
Which is everyone. Yeah, this is going to alleviate some pressure on your lower back, but the most common imbalances are your chest and upper back. So, when we're having that pull constantly, we really need to be mindful and intentional about how we're going to kind of like work against that. You know that you're doing things forward all the time. No one's like sitting there like doing everything behind their back that are going to tight behind your back. So we really need to be intentional about how on a daily basis we can work to work in the opposite direction. I do this one on my ottoman all the time in my living room, so there really is just no limits to like where you can do it. We're calling it box stretch, but you absolutely don't need a box to do it. Our next one is Samson stretch. You're going to hold this each side twice for 30-second holds. Now, Samson stretch is a really important one because this creates sitting creates a massive shortening of our hip flexors, which can wreak havoc on your lower back. I know I keep coming back to your lower back, but here's the thing. We're sitting all the time. Our hip flexors are being shortened. This is just like chronically in our society, they just keep getting shorter and shorter. And we need to put things in place in order to elongate them and move them in the opposite direction. Once you start doing a Samson stretch, you really, really understand the benefits. You're in a lunge position. Again, if you have anything with having when you're in a lunge position, that pressure in your knee, just put something under your knee. Put a pillow underneath if you're doing this in your living room, an ab mat under your knee if you're doing it in the gym, whatever you need. Sometimes I use a sweatshirt if I'm just around and don't have anything, but you're in more of a lunge position. I love that your hands overhead, pushing your hips forward and using that kind of like when you're rotating your hips under. A lot of us are in that overextended lower back position for a lot of the day. We're just like sitting there with like a little shrimp, with your kind of your butt turned out. We're going to use in the opposite direction. You're going to pull your hips under when you're doing the Samson stretch and really work them forward so that we're giving those hip flexors the space that they need.
Laden with the hips. That one's a good one, especially, it's not every day that I can get like my hands up and outstretched in in that stretch, but that's like, oh, that's just an added bonus because then you're adding like in the pectorals and stuff. It's just such a beneficial hip stretch. I can't say enough good things about Samson. Um, and I did just want to say as a bonus, if you can just spend a few minutes every day in the bottom of a squat, I'd love you. I'd love you for it. I will give you any kind of rewards you need because um the ability to just pop it in the bottom of a squat at any point in your day cannot be understated. And also, that's just not a thing that comes and stays naturally, right? We see toddlers being able to pop it in the bottom of a squat whenever they want. And then slowly we see that ability lost over the years. And that is not because aging muscles should not be able to do that. That is because we haven't practiced it enough. So just practicing getting in the bottom of a squat and sitting there for 60 seconds every single day, that's not something you need to be warm for. And you, again, you can scale this to any kind of place. Shifting back and forth also really helps, and that can help your ankle flexation. You can like work your Achilles there. I know a lot of people have tightness in their Achilles and calves. This is just going to be just so beneficial. So if you can just spend a couple minutes every day in the bottom of a squat as a bonus. But that is our 10 minutes of stretching. Hopefully, you are loosey goosey. Do you want to give your favorite? Because we wanted to keep this equipment free, but do you want to give just like one myofascial release that you really like if someone were to have a foam roller or a lacrosse ball or even a tennis ball that they could work with? I've got mine. You want me to go on mine first?
Sure.
I've moved to a standing desk for the majority of my day, which has significantly helped my hip pain. But one thing that I've noticed is when I'm standing all day, freaking, the
It's your
problem is
feet, isn't it?
down. It's my feet.
It's
It's
always
my
your feet.
feet.
You're one day closer to being mom.
Oh my, I hate these feet. It's genetic. You should see them. The arches on these things are it's not even godly. I barely have a footprint. It's just a couple toes and a heel. I swear to God, guys. And my arch is so high, it's ridiculous. So standing all day ain't it because I'm standing here barefoot, right? So one myofascial release that I've started adding every single day with my standing desk, I have my real cross ball under the desk and I just roll my feet. I roll my arches while I'm standing here. I go roll this one, roll this one, roll this one, roll this one, go back and forth. And I cannot say how much it has helped me. Adding a tool to sort of like we said in the beginning with that how the muscles will knot, adding a tool to flatten that muscle back out and to promote the lengthening of it is it sometimes can be painful but it's definitely worth it.
You know what? There's so many trigger points and releases that are in your feet too, that it's really one of those that like you're hitting so many different. I mean, everything starts with from the ground up, right? So like when you're having all of those releases and you're being able to hit those pinpoints through your feet, it's really important and really beneficial. If you can just do it while you're working, you're like, damn, I'm killing this right now.
Right.
I personally keep a foam roller in my house. I know maybe not everyone does, but you can honestly get them at Target or Walmart like super cheap to just keep in your living room. So for me, my upper back, well, it's my lower back, it's my upper back, it's whatever. It's whatever one's pulling at the time, causing pain with the other one. Um, for me, just foam rolling my upper back. So when you put a foam roller around your mid to upper back, cross your hands over each other, touching both of your shoulders, and just laying back on the foam roller and being able to work that through up and down, like slowly up through your back. That's honestly a game changer for me that I do every single day because that provides like some relief for my lower back. I start to be able to get a little bit more mobility in my thoracic spine and just get some kind of like relief for me where that tends to be a pinpoint.
Yeah, and you don't need anything fancy either. I literally I use a lacrosse ball on my feet. You can use a tennis ball. You can use
We
um
made a pea knot. Like we like, I didn't know there was another person like me out there, but I just found them and decided we're just gonna do life together.
Let's spend more time with each other.
So when I noticed he had made this sock with 2 different balls in it that created a peanut, I was like, "Yes!" But it's just, like, in our living room, but that kind of goes on a peanut goes on, it's like 2 balls, it goes on either side of your spine. You can use it in several ways, but it goes on either side of your spine to just kind of, like, really get in there where the foam roller is just one, so it doesn't get in between to get some of that release. But like I said, like, we didn't need to buy a peanut. We just put 2 balls in a sock and close it up.
Let's go. Ghetto peanut style. I love it.
It works the same.
Works the same. Sorry, peanut.
I
You did
know,
make a
they're
very
like
product.
they're like, "Are you
Damn.
serious?"
Come on, we, like,
They're like
invented that, and now you're just saying to people they can use a sock. No, but seriously, mobility tools are neither expensive nor difficult to, have access to, and you don't like, they have all kinds of foam like, the ones with the, like, the torture looking ones with all the, like, spikes in them, but, like, really anything will do, and keeping these in places that you're gonna constantly see them.
Yeah.
Like, my lacrosse ball stays on my desk in my office. I cannot miss it on a work day. Keeping your peanut in your living room and, like, the place that you watch TV the most is a fantastic idea.
'Cause you
And,
sit down and you go like, "Oh, I could be
I
like."
could be doing this better.
Yeah, like, I could be doing this a little bit better for me, like, I'm gonna sit down and, like, watch a show, I might as well, like, get a little body work in.
I mean, I just love multitasking. I've said
I'm
it once, I'll say it
here.
again. So I hope you guys enjoyed 10 minutes of stretches with Kelsey and Rachel. Again, we'll have everything demoed for you on the video version of this podcast. And let us know. Let us know your favorite static work and let us know how you felt after this stretch session because I'm going to tell you, I did it yesterday and like, yes, 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 yes.
And just try it on. Just try it for a
Just
week.
try it on.
Just try it for
And
1
then the
week,
rest of your life.
and then the rest of your life. Because if we can just put it in, you have 10 minutes. If we can just put it in for this week, we can just keep it for the rest of your life.
It's a little bit more, and then like a little bit more.
A little bit more.
We
Alright.
love you guys.